Hello. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could really have the perfect mate? I mean, the perfect mate. Someone who complements everything about you. Someone who knows you well. Someone whose interests are the same as your interests. Someone who can make you laugh, you know, who can lift you up when you're down. Just, you know, the perfect person who knows everything about you, who knows how to comfort you and soothe you, and who really gets you. Perfect. Now, I know there's no perfect mate, but they come pretty close. That would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. I mean, wouldn't you want to spend the rest of your life with that person? I mean, what more can you ask for? Why wouldn't you want to spend the rest of your life with that person? Yeah. But the reality is, we can't always get someone, one who has all those traits that just make you feel whole. I mean, they can come pretty close. But everything? I wonder if that's possible. I mean, I don't know. I'm just I'm just guessing. I'm wondering if it's at all possible. Um, and it kind of seems like to me, you know, that it wouldn't be possible. Now, I don't know. There may be some people who, who have mates and their mates just do it all for them. And that's wonderful because that's really what you want. You want to be with someone who complements everything about you, who knows your ins and outs, who knows, how to comfort you, how you move, who knows, I mean, just about everything there is to know about you, you know? Sometimes even better than you know you. But, you know, the fact that we can't always have that, not everyone. There may be a select few who do. Relationships fail. People get into marriages, they marry, and they get into relationships, and you know. And when you get into these things, you go into it thinking that this is going to be long term. So you start making preparation and doing things for the long term. You know, even if you're not married, some people still, a lot of people still do it. You move in together. You start purchasing things together. Um, you start saving and just planning for your future. Got bank accounts, and a lot of people have joint bank accounts. You may have separate as well, but a lot of people put their money in the same pot, because all of it's going to the household anyway. So it makes sense. Well, you do all of these things, and you start having kids and so on and so forth, and years, you invest years. And then gradually you start to question why you're in this relationship. I don't know why. Maybe, your partner isn't doing something that you would like for them to do. Maybe there's just maybe you just grew apart. There's a lot of reasons as to why you start questioning where you are in the relationship, your position, and whether you still want to be in that position in your relationship. Well, with that, you have to start making some real decisions. You have to really start thinking about some things because now you done invested so much into this relationship. You done put all your eggs into this one basket. And now you want your eggs out of that basket. The question is, what do you do? Well, we can't reverse time. We can't go back in time. So we have to figure out what to do from this point on. The best thing to do, this is my opinion, is to sit down and have a conversation with your mate about your feelings, your likes, your dislikes, and the things that you feel are causing a divide between you all. If you're married, you might want to seek counseling. You might want to seek counseling because you don't just want to go off on a whim and end something as sacred, as important, as meaningful as a marriage. Relationships, the commitment level is different. You want to be sure of what you're doing, what you're about to do, what you're thinking of doing. You want to be absolutely positively sure that it's your last resort. That it's your last option, that it's your last everything, that you done exhausted everything else that you could possibly do to try to save this relationship or marriage, especially your marriage. You don't want to walk away so easily, especially if there's little minor things that's causing the divide and they can be fixed. Now you go through all of that, talking to your mate, trying to get your mate to understand your position, where you are, and things that bother you, and you all make a decision that you're going to try to fix it. You're going to try to work this thing out and fix it. Time goes by, and you realize that nothing is changing. Nothing is changing. Now, is it you that's not changing? Is it her that's not changing? Is it you all as a unit that's not changing? Whatever it is, you now feel like, I really don't want to stay in this situation anymore. Now, a lot of people frown on divorce. Um, Divorce is a painful thing, more so if there's children involved. So you have to be very, very, very careful with that one. But at the same time, you also not only have a commitment and a responsibility to that child's well being, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially, you have a responsibility to yourself. We sometimes stay in situations that's not good for us for the sake of children. For the sake of children, for the sake of other people, for the sake of family members, for the sake of your significant other. Meanwhile, we're unhappy. When you stay in situations and you're unhappy in those situations, they tend to start changing the core of you. You, who once was a very nice, gentle, soft-spoken person, become angry, mean, loud, aggressive, because you're unhappy in your situation. So it's kind of like a thing of, which is the greater evil, for lack of a better term? Do I stay to appease others, or do I leave to find myself and give myself some relief? Anything that you do solely for the sake of others, when it comes down to whether their happiness will be put before your happiness, you really have to think about that. You really have to think about that because, like I said, it changed the core of who you are when you allow yourself to be in situations like that. And you don't want to change the core of who you are, especially when it's something good. When it's something bad, by all means, let's change that. When it's something good, it took you a while to build yourself up to that. It only takes a second to tear you down from it if you're not careful. So we have to be wise. Okay? We have to be wise. Now, it would be nice if we would have thought about all of these things and really got what I refer to as the big picture before we made those moves. But we didn't. Now, I know someone, and it's getting to a point in their relationship where he's done all that he, wants to do. More so, it's getting to a point for him where he doesn't look at her the same. He doesn't feel the same. He feels like when he made the decision to marry, it wasn't for all the right reasons, which is very important. And the only thread that keeps him hanging on is the child. Is the child. because he does not want to appear to be anything less than a good man, a faithful father, and a devoted husband in the eyes of his child. And I get that. In my opinion, you can still be all of those things even after you remove yourself from the situation that's causing you so much heartache and pain. Staying in it, like I said, will only change those things in some ways. Maybe not all together, but in some ways. Because you stand in a situation you don't want to be in. Guess what? One day you might look up and find yourself admiring another woman and going outside of the household to be with that woman. So now, are you a faithful husband? Devoted husband? Faithful? Mm-mm. That has changed. That has changed. Now, the way you interact with your son or your daughter, God forbid that change. But you never know what kind of resentment can grow up inside of you for staying in something that you don't want to be in. So you have to watch that. So it came a point where I was asked a question. It was said basically, well, we have all these things together. So what am I supposed to do about that? Okay? And my answer is straightforward and blunt. Don't worry about those things. The only things that you need to be worrying about if you're making a decision to part is those things that belong specifically to you. Those things that are of great importance to you. The living room sofa is not of any importance to you. The dining room table is not of any importance to you. You know, all of those things. You can't take the house because the child lives there. So your clothes, your shoes, your jewelry, so on and so forth, any trophies, trinkets, medals, keepsakes, any of that stuff, then those things come with you. Those are yours. Well, how am I supposed to just leave all my stuff behind? Why would I do that? Why not? You can leave those things because those things can easily be replaced. One thing that cannot be replaced if you lose it is your sanity. Your peace will be hard to replace if you stay in a situation that you don't want to be in. It'll be hard to find on the days when you need it and want it the most. If you stay in a situation that you don't want to be in. Now, I'm talking on the terms of a man, but this goes for women too. I've stayed in situations that I did not want to be in for the sake of others. And I swear, it was killing me every day, every day, every day. And you have to put on a real good front, you know, to be around someone that you don't want to be around. Someone that, and for me, it had got to the point where it's just so much stuff that had happened over the course of the relationship that it had gotten bad. It had gotten so bad, I didn't even really want to see your face. That's how bad it was. Your voice irritated me, you know. The things that you did started irritating me, you know. So you don't want to stay in situations like that because it changes. And then you walk around, you say one little thing, and then you lash out because you mentally overwhelmed just being in the same environment. That is very, very, very unhealthy. Very unhealthy. And I encourage you to try to fix it. I encourage you to try to fix it. But everybody don't want to work. And in a relationship, it takes two. It's two of us in it. So I shouldn't be the one doing all the work. And if I come to you and I sit with you and I tell you that these are my likes and my dislikes, so on and so forth, and I give you the opportunity to voice yours towards me so that not only, we don't want this thing to be one-sided. We don't want it to be one-sided. So if I'm coming and voicing my likes and my dislikes, I want to give you an opportunity to voice yours. And we together need to work and change those things for the betterment of the relationship. So that the relationship can move forward. So that we both can be in the relationship and be happy. Not you happy because I'm here and I'm doing everything you want me to do, but I'm unhappy because you're doing barely half of what I need you to do. That's no good. That's no good. And there's a lot of relationships out here that's like that where it is one-sided. It is one-sided and it is draining. It really is. It really is draining. And your mate may not tell you just how much it's draining them, but let me be the one to let you know. Put yourself in their shoes. We put up with a lot of things, men and women, We put up with a lot of things from people when we care about them. We will go through the fire, you know. But we have to know when to pull out. We have to know when to get out of the fire because it only hurts us. Meanwhile, that person living their best life and happy. But we're miserable. Is that fair? That's not fair. No, it's not. It's not because we're in this together and we both should be sharing the same happy feelings together. Right? And people, when you make them decisions, people, they going to make you feel like, I did this and I did that and you ain't tried so on and so forth. And they're going to give you everything. And they're going to keep telling you, oh, I'm going to work on it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I'm not saying don't give them the benefit of the doubt and don't try to give them a chance. But you're not going to sit around and waste years of your life trying to wait for them to figure out how to get it together. Meanwhile, pieces of you just slowly dropping off. Before you know it, you don't even recognize who you see looking back in the mirror. We have to be conscious of that and be careful. People change in relationships, and sometimes it's not for the good. Sometimes it's a bad change. It's a change that that sets you back. It's a change that sets you back, and you have to know how to work through that because really, honestly, and truly, your happiness matters. A lot of people don't feel like this is like, yeah, whatever. As long as they happy, I'm happy. But you're not. But you're not happy. That's just something to say. It sounds like the right thing to say. It sounds, yeah, it sounds real cool. As long as you happy, I'm happy. But the reality is, you can't really wholeheartedly, in all honesty, feel that way when someone is not giving to you those things that you need so much to receive from them. Those things that build you up and make you feel a part of this relationship. Those things that give you worth and meaning in the relationship. You have to take ownership of your happiness, your destiny, your life. And you have to live it well by any means. It is sad when we have to separate. But if our separation means my sanity, then we're going to have to separate. If our separation means my safety, means me being comfortable, me being at peace, we have to separate. We only get one life. One. And I don't think that we're living it well when we do things against ourselves to please other people. We're not living it well. It's all fine and good to help individuals, to be there for people, to sacrifice yourself in some ways, but we can't do that all the time. This can't be an everyday situation. I'm waking up to sacrificing me to you. No. The scales are unbalanced. And it's not fair. In life, everything should at least come close to being equal, fair, just. If it's not, we need to rethink what we're doing. We need to rethink the people we have in our circle, the people that's around us. We need to rethink our actions. We need to rethink. This situation is very delicate. And in the beginning stages, it's very painful for a lot. But as you move through it, you start to realize that it was the best decision to be made. After you've invested years and years and years and years with someone and you're giving 85% and they're giving 15%, you start to realize and see that you made the right decision. As hard as it may have been to make that decision, to come to that conclusion. The moral of this whole thing is you matter. You matter. And we cannot allow people to hold over our head things that we do that they don't want us to do, that they don't like, that they're not ready for. In these relationships, if we can, before we get in them, we need to really study our mates, or the person, our, prospective mate. We need to communicate constantly. Communicate. Communicate, communicate, communicate. It is so very important to communicate. Hopefully, with that communication, you will eliminate a lot of issues that you will soon find yourself having had you not communicated. Had you not sat down and talked about likes and dislikes and so on and so forth. It is very important. It is very important. Do not let material things keep you in situations because you're afraid of loss of material things. You'll get that back. You'll get that back. A lot of people stay in situations because of material gain. What they have materially. I'm going to lose this. I'm going to lose my car. I'm going to lose. You could get it back. In my opinion, staying in situations that bring you no benefit because of those things, that speaks volumes to me about your character. And it's not good. Because to me, what it says is you're moved by material things. That is what moves you. And that is what's keeping you at a standstill. Because of your fear to lose those things. When you should have faith that when you move away from those situations that's not bringing you any benefit, you'll gain much, much more. So let's be conscious of that. And let's move through these relationships, good or bad, in productive ways and make good decisions while doing it. MJK.